one of the hits on President Obama that the Republicans are so fond of, so terribly fond of, that I think is bizarre, is that he's like Jimmy Carter, as if Jimmy Carter was a weak president. When I think back to the end of the Carter presidency, we had just a few weeks ago, when, what was it called? Argo was this movie that came out that was that won an Academy Award or some sort of an award, and it was about a group of, not the main group of hostages, but another group of hostages who kind of got out of Iran by this filmmaker got in and took them out, and a whole long story. Anyhow, it was great movie. But in the movie, what you saw was that all these Iranians were all upset with all these Americans and death to America and all this kind of stuff. And when this came out, Mr. Bani Sadr, who was the president of Iran, he was actually a politician who was not president of Iran when the hostages were taken. And in the summer of 1980, he ran for president of the United States of Iran, on a platform of releasing the hostages. And he wrote an op-ed about this in the Christian Science Monitor, which you can still read today. It's fairly hard to find because almost everybody ignored it. I was astounded it wasn't reprinted everywhere, that it didn't appear on the front page of the New York Times. But here's he ran on a platform of releasing the hostages, and he won overwhelmingly. That the average Iranian didn't give a rat's patootie that we were holding the hostages. In fact, most of them were embarrassed about it. They wanted their country to they wanted the, quote, students to let the hostages go. They saw it as unnecessarily inflaming tensions between the United States and Iran. Bani Sadr ran on that platform. He won. And then he went to the Ayatollahs who, they're sort of like our Supreme Court, right? We think that we have a democracy. We have a constitutional monarchy. You want to do something, you got to go to the Ayatollahs. The 9 people in black robes, just down the street here at the Supreme Court and say, can I do this? Are you sure? Is it constitutional? Well, in Iran, they've got the Ayatollahs who are, functionally their Supreme Court. Instead of looking at their constitution, they look at their Quran. But it's the same thing. So Bani Sadr goes to the Ayatollahs and he says, okay, I ran on a platform of releasing the hostages. May I please release the hostages? And Ayatollah Khomeini said, no, you can't. And he told him why. And Bani Sadr published this just weeks ago in the Christian Science Monitor. Like I said, you can read it online. Sue will put a link to it tomorrow on Sue's stack in our newsletter and on our website. You can read it online. The Ayatollah said to Bani Sadr, to President Bani Sadr, you may not release those hostages because we cut a deal with the Ronald Reagan campaign. Keep in mind, Reagan was running against Carter in the summer of 1980 for president of the United States, and Carter was way ahead. Reagan was considered a crackpot. They called him Ronnie Reagan. Everybody was afraid he was going to start a nuclear war. We thought of him as Slim Pickens in that movie, Dr. Strangelove, just riding the bomb down there with his cowboy hat in his hand, going woo, yeah. So he goes to the Ayatollah. So he goes to the Ayatollah and he says, I got a lot of. Nope, we cut a deal with the Reagan campaign that we would hold those hostages until after the election, and we are going to do that. In exchange for that, they are going to ship us spare parts for all of our weapons because, we've got a whole military here and it's all American-made weapons. And we can't legally buy them from the United States. And in fact, Israel has already started to deliver some of those weapons, some of those spare parts, specifically tires for their F-18s, for their fighter jets. Israel was already delivering them. And Bani Sadr talks about this in his op-ed in the Christian Science Monitor. And they kept those hostages and they released them literally the moment that Ronald Reagan put his hand on the Bible in January of 1981, as he was being sworn in, they released the hostages at that moment. Everybody said, oh, that's because they hate Carter so much. No, it's because they were keeping a deal. It was their way of saying to Ronald Reagan, we will expose you. We're going to get this close to exposing you. We will expose you if you don't get those weapons to us. And so Reagan kept his word. Through 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86. Finally got busted in 86. Selling weapons to Iran. And taking the money from that, and there had been this piece of legislation passed that specifically said that the Reagan administration, because everybody knew Reagan was such a warmonger. I mean, he was a crazy guy. That he wanted to go after the Contras in Nicaragua. Oh my God, there's a communist government. Well, it's a socialist government in Nicaragua. Please don't start a war in Nicaragua, Mr. Reagan. So they literally, Congress passed a law making it illegal for Reagan to start a war with Nicaragua. So what does he do? He takes the money from Iran, from selling them the weapons, which he was selling them because they helped him win the election. He takes that money and he gives it to the rebels and thugs and murderers, right-wing death squads in Nicaragua, the so-called Contras. Ollie North is helping him do it. Ollie North took the fall for it. And then Jerry Ford pardons the whole bunch of them. Excuse me, George Herbert Walker Bush pardons the whole bunch of them. The same way Jerry Ford had pardoned Nixon and his cronies. So it just got me thinking, if Jimmy Carter's second term had not been stolen, what would America be like right now? This is what Jimmy Carter had to say about fossil fuels. First of all, the first thing I want to tell you is if Jimmy Carter had not had that election stolen, if Ronald Reagan and Bill Casey, who is the guy who set this up, who was running his campaign, if Bill Casey had not committed treason to get Reagan and Bush into office by cutting a deal with the enemy, just like we know Nixon did, by the way, back when LBJ was president and Hubert Humphrey, as vice president, was running for re-election or for election in '68. We got the tape on that of LBJ talking to Everett Dirksen about this. Here we've got the testimony of the president of Iran. I would submit to you that 9/11 wouldn't have happened because we wouldn't have been in the Middle East pumping oil, and we would not be at 400 parts per million of carbon dioxide. And if 9/11 had not happened, we would not have a war in Afghanistan or Iraq. This would be a prosperous country. We would be energy independent. Here's what Carter had to say in 1979. Here he is.
The energy crisis is real. It is worldwide. It is a clear and present danger to our nation. These are facts, and we simply must face them. What I have to say to you now about energy is simple and vitally important. Point one, I am tonight setting a clear goal for the energy policy of the United States. Beginning this moment, this nation will never use more foreign oil than we did in 1977. Never.
Right. And he put that into place. He actually put that into place. And had Ronald Reagan not come into office the next year and blown it up, we would not be using foreign oil, and we would not be in the Middle East, and they could be growing turnips for all we care. And we would not be at 400 parts per million. We would not be looking at a possible extinction event. But that's just the beginning of it. Let me tell you some of the other things that the Carter administration did and how different America would be if we hadn't had 3 consecutive Republican treasonous actions.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
And by that, I'm talking about the Supreme Court installing George W. Bush, Ronald Reagan cutting a deal with the Iranians, and Richard Nixon cutting a deal with the South Vietnamese.